All right, so there's going to be some times when your everyday care, your prep, and the things that you do over the last few years hopefully have, they don't come to fruition, but if they do, I'm going to give you the three scenarios when it's going to be most important to make sure that your guns are good to go, that your EDC is good to go, and that your prep is good to go. But first off, let us jump into a cup. We're going to have the counterculture fast forward. This is a pretty decent medium roast. We're gonna do it over an espresso. Matter of fact, we might even make an Americano because this is America. Okay. I know the Italians started the 1 cup espresso, but this is America. I don't know why we call it Americano, but I'm gonna assume that Americans had something to do with it. Okay. But there's gonna be some times when, at least for me personally, where I have done some prep work and preparation for the days ahead. Now, I want to preface this by saying a couple of things. First off, the preparation that you're doing is not because of the upcoming administration, not directly because of them. I don't care who you voted for, it's none of my business. And quite frankly, it's something that you can keep to yourself as well. But that does not mean that other people don't care who you voted for, and other people aren't insanely upset by the results of the previous election. Scenario one, when you need to prep your EDC, your prep, your guns, all that type of stuff, is Inauguration Day. Now, not because of the fact that the new administration is going to be coming into office. Trump is going to be starting his second term, his final term. But it's really because of the number of people who are overly excited about his return and kind of are getting a little bit of beer muscles, and a number of people who are butthurt about his return. In my opinion, the American president does have a lot of power, but he doesn't control like my daily life. I don't get butthurt of the person who's the president. I joined the Marines when Bush was under office, and my life was pretty smooth. I was under Obama. I mean, I've been under a lot of presidents. I was born under Reagan, all that type of stuff. So I just don't see where I need to overly concern myself with what the American president has going on and get myself too concerned about it. But some people on Inauguration Day have the tendencies to think that it's time for them to shine, it's time for them to rise. And even before Inauguration Day, I'm gonna say that this is correlated to point number one, is January 6th. We saw that, give me a second. We saw January 6th of 2021 when people are upset, whether rightfully or not, people are butthurt, whether rightfully or not, their ability to get out in them streets and make their voices be known. The same thing goes for even the upcoming stuff like, the inauguration day itself. All those type of small things, there's opportunities for people to get out there and kind of show their ass. So that's one scenario I think that prep and preparation is kind of important, especially if you want to ensure that you have everything that you need within your EDC. The second one kind of, I don't know, kind of goes without being said, but maybe something that you haven't thought about overall. That's going to be day one tariffs. Now, I don't care what anyone argues, okay? I don't care what information you've read. The literal definition of tariffs is taxes on items being imported into the United States. That's items being imported from certain countries to the United States. And those tariffs may or may not increase prices on goods that you purchase. They could also increase prices on services that you use because those services may depend on those goods. I don't care what anyone tells you. I don't care what the Democrats have tried to sell you, what Trump has tried to tell you. Tariffs could lead to higher prices. I'm not saying that they will. I don't know. I'm not an economist. I'm just telling you that because if they do lead to higher prices, it just came out in a report that Trump said he's going to have up to a 25% tariffs on our biggest trading partner, which is Mexico and Canada. That's going to be everything from the plier head that Leatherman's makes. A lot of those are made in Mexico. A lot of materials for knives are made in Mexico. A lot of agriculture products are made down there as well. Up north, we get a lot of stuff that goes into our clothing from the Canadians. So, that could be a big influence on pricing for specific things that we use and that we want. If you know that you use a specific particular good or good from one of those countries, or even a country that he's talked about in the past, which is mainly China, then you may want to do a little bit of extra prep work for anything that you may need. We have less than 2 months, but if you know that you can stock up on things that you may want, stock up on things that you may need, this might be the opportunity for you to do that, because if tariffs do immediately affect prices on the things that you commonly purchase or the things that you intended to purchase, you might want to make sure that you snatch those things up when you can. That's number one, because of the pricing or the perceived thought of scarcity. If the countries that are being tariffed is because the countries that are being tariffed are really the companies, normally American companies, that have outsourced those goods or services to those countries. For instance, Leatherman is a U.S. based company that has outsourced the construction of some of their plier heads to Mexico. So the tax on the actual importation of the plier heads will be a tax that Leatherman has to pay, not Mexico. And so Leatherman has a couple of choices. They can either A, pass the cost down to the customer, which can increase the price of Leatherman. B, absorb the cost and just pay it themselves. C, stop making the plier heads in Mexico, maybe fully make them in America, which is not a fast process unless they already have the tooling in place, and could increase costs because American labor is more expensive than Mexican labor, and could create a shortage. It could create scarcity. I'm giving you an example of an EDC, of an everyday carry item, but this could pertain to all sorts of stuff. It could be wheat, wool, grains, whatever. The importation of those items could directly affect your life. I think that if you have something that's coming from another country, I don't think that Trump is lying about his intent to implement tariffs. He did it before, and why wouldn't he do it again? I mean, he did it before and he got reelected. Why would he not do it again? And there is no pandemic this time. If the tariffs affect prices, we will directly see it. It will be not an excuse of, well, there was a pandemic, or well, there was this, or well, there was that. It will be literally something that is tangible and we can see. Remember when people were acting a plumb idiot over toilet paper? I mean, I was one of those people. I wasn't acting a fool, but I was 100% okay with watching a broad walking up to a thing of 10 pieces of a 10 pack of TP and taking it in front of her face. I had no issues with that, okay? And that ruthless nature, finish up the Americano with a little bit of water. So we did 18 grams of coffee, and we pumped out 36 grams of 18 grams of coffee beans. We pumped out 36 grams of liquid coffee, and then we're going to put about 40 grams of water on top of that, which kind of gets me to my Americano flavor. I don't know if you can see that. Some good stuff in there. Some good stuff. Oh man, I wish I could share this cup with you because I know it's going to be the bomb. But my point is number two is the tariffs could be real. And I don't want you to be surprised some of your favorite goods or services are unavailable, cost more money, or no longer being made at the speed that you would like them to be made, okay? So that's something that was voted for. It could happen. Just be prepared. The third and final point is something that doesn't directly affect me, doesn't affect my family, but it could affect me in the state of the rise in crime and the rise of things that happen in my neighborhood. The third one is day one deportations. I'm saying day one, but it's really going to be a process, okay? So the upcoming administration has been explicitly clear with their intent to start mass deportations of upwards of 12 to 20 million people who are in this country illegally. I think this cup of coffee is good. I don't have an issue with putting people through a level of due process. They don't get the same due process as Americans in deporting people. I don't have an issue with that, okay? I'll give you an example. My personal family has a ton of family members in Venezuela. My wife, my fine ass wife, her dad lives in Venezuela. He used to be a part of the Secret Service there. His life is always in danger because of Maduro. He does not like the old guard of the Secret Service, and they're always looking for a reason to take him out. He would be a prime candidate to seek asylum, but I would want him to do it the proper way. We would book him a ticket. He would present himself at a port of entry like Miami or Dallas or Houston, and he would ask for asylum. We would tell him that he's going to live with us. They would say yes or no. We would pick him up. We would have our dad living with us. That's how I want the asylum process to work. But he stays in Venezuela because he has a lot of sisters there, nephews, nieces, all that type of stuff. As I mentioned, my wife has cousins there. They're a young man who don't really have a reason to seek asylum other than economical reasons, which I don't think that's enough to seek asylum. That's just my opinion. I think the Secret Service reason's way more strong than there's not a lot of economical reasons. But if my cousins snuck in this country from Venezuela illegally and they had been here for a while, I don't care if they had been paying into taxes because they have jobs, and them paying into taxes, they technically can't get anything from that because they're not citizens. I don't care if they haven't committed any other crimes other than coming in the country illegally. I don't care if they've gotten married, whether they go to a state that allows marriage for folks that are here undocumented or illegal to an American citizen. I don't care if they've had kids here. If you came in illegally, you should go through a level of due process. If that results in your deportation, that's a consequence of the action. Now, if it doesn't result in your deportation, I'm not going to be butthurt by it. I'm just also keeping it real with you. Keeping up with that scenario with my cousin, all those things happen. He goes through deportation. The Trump administration decides this guy doesn't need to be deported. I'm not going to be butthurt about that. It doesn't affect my job. He's not. I think a lot of people want deportations to happen for three reasons. Number one, there's a perceived thought that the economy sucks and that jobs are hard to find because illegal immigrants are working them. I don't know about that because the jobs that they're working is shit that I don't want to do. I just heard them out there blowing and cutting grass. I know a lot of illegal immigrants do that. I'm not trying to get out there and cut people's grass, picking grains and wheats and working with turning raw materials into clothing. I'm not trying to do all that stuff. The second reason is the perceived thought of higher crime from illegal immigrants. I don't know if that's 100% accurately documented because criminals are criminals. So, I think that there probably is crime with illegal immigrants, whether it is cartels, that could be something that exists, or just higher petty thefts or violent crimes. But most of the time, illegal immigrants don't want to get caught here illegally. So I don't know. I think that there's probably higher white on white crime and black on black crime from citizens than it is illegals. But that's just my opinion. And the third one is just people are racist and they want people up. They want them out of here. Get them out of here. And, I will say that I think people's perceived thoughts, because what we see on the TV is that most illegal immigrants are from the triangle countries of Ecuador, Honduras, Salvador, all the way from South America, like Venezuela, or coming in from Trinidad, or they're from Mexico, which I don't know how true that is because there's a lot of people who just overstay visas that came in legally initially and they're just here. There are a lot of Anglo-Saxon people that look white, people that you would perceive that you don't want bounced about this country that just overstayed their visas. A case in point, reportedly, allegedly, Elon Musk overstayed a visa and he was here illegally working and now he's a citizen. But the point being is that it's not just going to be a bunch of brown people getting their ass bounced up out of here. January 6th, Inauguration Day, day one tariffs, day one deportations. The first 100 days of any administrations are the most impactful. They're the most influential. That's when they try to set their mark and do their mandate because they just got elected. They feel like they have the wind in their sails, and that's when shit moves. Shit's going to move. I hope you have your prep together. I hope you don't really just take this stuff lightly that we talk about when it comes to everyday carry, when it comes to prep. Even if you don't believe in guns, I have an AR-10 that I'm looking at right now, which I would prefer to use for shooting on the range, for sport shooting, and if I'm just feeling squirrely, taking it hunting. That's what I would prefer to use my AR-10, which shoots 7.62 by 51 or 308s. Big boy of a boomstick, but if that doesn't mean I'm an idiot and I have not prepped for the 3 scenarios I just told you about. I'm looking at an AR-15 that I would prefer to do the same thing with as well. And so you have to think about whatever you're going to be doing starting today for a little bit less than 2 months to prepare for what could be coming, or it could be nothing. It could be a nothing burger, but we still sat down and made a good cup of coffee. I got shit to do. Comment down below, what are some other scenarios you need to be prepping for, have your EDC together for, or 100% need to make sure that you have extra and ready to rock. First time stopping by, hit the subscribe button. I would love to have you part of the battalion. If this is not your first time stopping by, well, thank you once again for watching me run my grape. For everyone else, we'll speak soon.